Hi guys, welcome to another podcast. This podcast is with regards to the development study Mumbai campus. Today we have Deepanshu Bhatt from JNK, Jammu and Kashmir. Hi Deepanshu,
Hi, sir.
how are you? Once again,
I'm good. I'm good, sir. Thank you.
and
How are
one,
you, sir?
I am also fine. And once again, congratulations for your development study TISS selection.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So when you saw the result, how was the feeling? You expected this?
No, not at all. I'll be very honest with you. I had applied for three courses: development studies, regulatory governance, and MA in social work, specialized in community development and organization. So I was expecting that development I won't be getting in. I was expecting a regulatory or MA in social work because the exam went well, the Tissnet went well, but the GK was very difficult. That is something which I believe that you know. But fortunately, I scored well in GK. That was something which helped me to crack the first preference of mine for development studies. And it was a good feeling that I cracked difficult. It was a good journey with Manoeuvre, and I cracked this, and it was a very good feeling.
Okay, great. So before we jump to the question, can you brief about your background part, academic, and how this idea came into the picture? How you thought about
Yes.
think of when you have thought of okay, I have to apply for the TISS. I want to go into the TISS.
So as you know, I'm from Jammu and Kashmir district, Pulwama, and my graduation was in management studies from Narsimulji College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. So because of COVID thing, my graduation got a bit delayed. So I ended my graduation in end of 2020. Then right after my graduation, I got a corporate job in one of the edtech companies. It's a big edtech company. I worked there for about a year, and then I completely left the job. I was not getting that satisfaction because corporate world is something which I believe that it is not for me. So then I came back to Jammu, and then I started to work in the social sector domain. I started to work in the migrant colonies of Jammu, which is particularly for the people who are migrated. So I started to work there for about 6 to 8 months. So during that time, I got to understand more about the social problems, their solutions. And one of my colleague told me that if you are passionate about these things, so why don't you like apply for TISS? So it is India's best social science university. And when I was researching about the institution, honestly, I got a lot of videos from Manoeuvre. So you have a series of like which course you want to go, or how we will go about it, the placement and everything. Then development study was something which clicked me because development studies is very vast and it talks about how we can uplift the marginalized and every society or thing. So that was the moment that I decided that I have to apply in the test and particularly for the development study course. So that's been the reason why I chose test and development studies.
So let's talk about preparation part. What was your daily routine for the preparation? Have you made any kind of a daily routine? Okay, morning I will do English. After that I will jump to the GK, then maths.
Yes. So first of all, I understood myself that what are the strengths and weaknesses and where I should focus. So my strength was English verbal part and a general knowledge. So that is something general knowledge I like. I like to read newspapers, articles, analysis. So the schedule was like in the morning I used to read the Hindu newspaper editorial. That was a daily routine for 1 year. Okay. So after that I used to solve 3 to 4 RCs on a daily basis.
Okay.
Okay, so that was for 1 year. So I was very particular that I have to score good in verbal and GK because in mathematics I prepared, but I was not fully confident that I will be able to solve every question or I'll be able to solve 50% of them because mathematics is not something which I am inclined towards. So I
Okay.
put my everything on these two things, verbal and GK. So
Okay.
for maths, as I told you, I have this CAT material and few of my seniors also helped me. So in mathematics preparation, only I focused on few areas, like quant areas I focused on. I didn't focus more on trigonometry, geometry, or mensuration. I was not there because I knew that it will be a waste of time for me. It's better that I can channelize my time in a thing which can give me returns. So two RCs, daily newspapers, and daily practice of quants. That was there. So I never skipped any of the days because this was something which was a do or die situation for me, honestly, because I'd also applied for many other universities as well, but this was my dream college. And I was very particular, I was very consistent in solving two RCs, then doing other para jumbles, then other things which were there in the verbal section, and GK, daily newspaper reading, quants practice. So that was my routine. And in the ending stages of my preparation, I was very particular about the mocks. So every week I used to do 2 to 3 mocks, analyze them, take a note of my speed as well, and yeah, so that was the journey. So,
Okay, great. So overall, roughly how many hours you were devoting for your preparation in a day?
while I was also preparing, I was also working with the NGO and other thing. So initially it was 2 to 3 hours daily in the
Okay,
start early days of the preparation, and then when the last few months were there, so I used to study about 3 to 4 hours in
okay,
the last stages, but in the early stages only 2 to 3 hours. But it was very consistent. So I made a point that I have to never miss a day. I have to make sure that I'm regularly studying or regularly I'm in touch of the things which are happening.
okay, great. Was there any kind of any type or any kind of a battery down moment? Okay, I think I am done. I cannot do, etc., etc. For any section or for any for entire test net preparation or
Yes, there were two instances. One was in the cons section, where,
okay.
as I spoke to you, that I solved level of difficulty 2 in the cons section. But in the level of difficulty 3, this was not something for me. So that time
Hmm.
I thought, okay, because I was also very in touch with all the YouTubers, influencers, which make videos on test preparation. So what they were saying in a way that the mathematics section will be a big surprise for everyone this time, because last previous pattern was something that the quant section was getting tougher and tougher. So that
Exactly.
time I thought that, yeah, so that time I thought that maths will be something which will like which will be very difficult for me to crack, and that time I thought that let's give it a pass, a dietist thing. So, but I stick to my roots. I followed what I thought I was good in, and I started doing that only. So then the second stage came about when I was doing the mock test, initial mock test. The mock tests were not going as well because there was the problem of timing. There was problem of not completing, or I was approaching the mock test in a very, you can say, not in a very serious way. So I ended up getting a lot of low scores. So that was the moment I thought that no, this is not going how it should be. So these were the two things which I figured out. But as I said, I stick to my roots that I have to focus on these two areas, GK and verbal. And in the mock section, I made it particular that whatever I know, I have to attempt it first, so I can get the confidence as well. And in the con section, I made a strategy that it's not important that I have to attempt every question. I have to just read whatever I know. If I know that I can do this question, I did it. And if I know that this question is taking more than 1 or 2 minutes, I left that question and jumped to another one. So it saved my time as well. So that is how my mock, you can say, the rhythm started to build up. I started to get good marks,
Hmm.
and then the ultimate day came, and I followed the same strategy.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it.
Two things I have understood from your conversation, which helps to the viewer also, those who are watching this podcast. Number one, you should study about the examination. This likhne ja rahe ho, you should know what is this, what kind of a question they ask. Previous year analysis of the paper, that will tell you much more. That will give a better
Right.
clarity about the section, what kind of a question came, what was the difficulty level, in which section they asked tough question, etc., etc. Number two, you are very well aware of your strength and weaknesses. I mean, pretty much
Correct.
aware. Okay, I will perform well in GK and English. I have to little bit focus on the maths also. So maths was your not kind of a focus area, but then too you have work on your maths. That's what I have done. Two things, that is a good thing actually. If you know your weaknesses, then you can channelize your preparation. You can work on your strength and weaknesses
Yes.
both. Correct. Okay, so this is what a stage one. Let's come down to the stage two part. How was your interview experience in real TISS campuses? Whichever three courses you have applied, right? So you got selected for development study. So how was your experience?
So honestly, my first interview was for MA in social work, community development one, and that didn't go well, honestly, because it was my first interview. I was very nervous, and after the interview, I analyzed my interview, and I thought that I was going very fast while speaking, and I was not making substance. Okay, and I was not clear on my closing. Whatever answers I gave, I was not very clear and comfortable in closing those answers, because is the faculty, the people who are taking the interview, in within 2 minutes they will judge you.
Okay,
They have that much of experience. They will
obviously,
judge you
obviously.
whether you are just lying or whether you are actually dedicated for this program or not. So it's just a matter of who asks, and then other things are just, you can say, they are leading questions, and you have to give the answers. And the first interview really went bad. If you check my scorecard, the last exam, the last interview, the last subject was not good. And the next day I had development studies. So that night was very tough for me, very frustrating. So I just focused on two, three things because development studies I have to go in. First of all, I made sure that I have to go slow. I have to make sure that my communication is very understandable to the people who are listening to it, and I am being very honest in my approach. I am not using the things or not telling the things which is not true or which is misleading, but these are the things which are fundamentally right. And the second and the most important thing which I understood in the development study interview was that you have to be very calm. That is very important. Okay. If you are thinking too much or you are thinking that whether they will judge me in a good way or bad way, but you have to keep your waters cold and you have to make sure that you are doing the right stuff. And then the in the development study interview, there were many difficult questions because they are when I talked to the seniors, they said that there are many applicants of development studies. So they are very particular in choosing those people who want to do something in developmental sector only.
Okay.
So your storyline should be very encouraging. You have to make a storyline of why you want to, what's your motivation in it. So
Correct.
I had that clarity why I want to do this. So anyone who is listening to it and they want to apply for this niche courses like development studies or regulatory governance or labor studies, so you have to prepare your storyline very substantially. That your motivation should be there, your past work experience should be linked with it, so that the other person can take you seriously. So that is my major learning from the like. If anyone will come to me and say, "What is the trick to crack interview?" I'll say the only trick is there is no trick. Just you have to make sure that your storyline is perfect, that there
Okay.
is motivation in it. So
Okay.
that's the experience. And then the regulatory governance interview went really well. It was very easy comparatively, and I stick to my basics, and then I scored well enough in regulatory governance.
Okay. I think this information will help to the viewers also, those who are planning for these courses. This, or I mean, only for a development study or for the other courses. Okay. Next question is, you have appeared for the mock interview of Maneuver also. Like, I think one or two mock interview was there, and preparation part was also there. So, how much it help you in your real stage two interview part, basically?
It helped me a lot. So I had a very wrong perception of the real Tissnet interview.
Oh,
But honestly speaking, after the maneuver, the session which I took, the right from DAF practice. So the teachers also helped me in understanding what we have to write in DAF. So
can
that
you
was
can you
the
can you elaborate what was the wrong perception you had with regards to your test interview?
So I thought that this interview will be any general interview of any college. Okay.
Okay.
So if you talk to some of the aspirants of any B school, they have this perception that they will be asking some course related question or they will be asking about your background, about your study. But in case, as I said, they are very particular in choosing the right candidate. So that right
Correct.
candidate, they make very sure that whosoever they are picking, they will end up their career in that domain only. Okay.
Absolutely.
And this is a very journal knowledge and very social scientific based institution. So you have to understand everything what is happening in the nation when it comes to the policy part, when it comes to the general knowledge. So I had this preparation that I had learned the GK, I had scored well, so there won't be any questions regarding the GK. But when there was a beginning session of preparation of the interview, and then the ma'am told me that do not think that GK is over. GK is not over till you do not get a seat in the test. You have to make sure that you are reading the newspaper, you are in touch with all the happenings which is there in the nation. You have to know what sort of policies are there. You have to know what are the implications. So from that moment, I started to again go into in-depth reading of the things, and that actually helped me in the development study interview because there were many in-depth questions which were asked. I come from a management background, so those questions would be apt for a social science background. But for a management graduate to answer these, you have to make sure that you are well read. So that was the perception that now this interview will be easy for me or I'll be able to answer everything. But that's not true. I think that the interviewer is asking you a very difficult question and you have to be well read about it. So that's
Okay.
what the experience was.
So those who, so the all the viewers, those who have wrong perception. I think now this is clear. Okay, about your Tissnet interview part, how it goes basically. Okay, Gaurav, Deepanshu, last question. What tips or the session you want to give to upcoming year aspirant, those who are targeting for Tissnet 2023 or 24?
So my first thing is that start preparing right now. Do not wait. Okay. So if you are like when I say about preparing right now, start to get in connect with what are the things happening in the test. What are the course you want to apply? What is the syllabus of the course? And start to read newspapers. Start to know what is happening in the society, and start with an get yourself admitted in some of the institutions and start preparing for it because you have a lot of time. There's 1 year as of now, and you do not know when this 1 year will be gone because the preparation it needs time, it needs your basics right, and it needs a focus on the general knowledge. So make sure that you are in touch with what is happening in the general knowledge domain. Do not skip any day. Do not skip any news. And also, one thing I want to tell that just do not read the headings of the news. Go in depth because in TISSNet GK section only, if you analyze the exam, there were many in-depth questions. मतलब पॉलिसी के भी अंदर की पॉलिसी पूछी गई थी इंटरव्यू
Right.
में भी वैसा ही होगा so go in detail, go in depth because general knowledge is something which will make or break things. So focus
Correct.
on that and then enjoy the process. Do not take stress. Enjoy because you're learning something and that will definitely help you in the future. And the third thing will be just like do your best and do not think much and just make sure that you are consistent, that sincere and consistent. These two things if you have, and you can easily score good in TISS net. And for the interview, just read, do not left reading, and get a lot of knowledge whatever you do. And whatever course you're applying, make sure that you are already in touch with the course either through your readings, research, or through your work experience. So that connect has to be there, that motivation has to be there.
Okay. Okay. Lots of things explained by Deepanshu. Great. So I hope all the people, those who will be watching this podcast, many things you have learned. Very first, if I summarize this entire uh, podcast, so number one, you should learn or study about the examination very first. Second, understand your strength and weaknesses. Third, start your early preparation. Fourth, be confident while you are preparing and while you are preparing for the GK. So if any kind of a policy is coming up or any kind of a, kind of a important news is there, then go in depth because that will help you in your stage two also. Okay. So this is what the entire podcast is about. Deepanshu, once again, thank you and congratulations for your selection. And you have shared lots of information which help to the upcoming year aspirant. So that's all. Bye bye.
Thank you.